Howdy, folks. I'm Wild Witch Hazel, wickedly wielding witchcraft weapons.
I'm Amber.
And Amber, what exactly are witchcraft weapons other than wands?
Well, that's what I was going for, but I couldn't think of the word wand. I was like, what's the W word? What's the W word? And wand did not occur to me.
I'm like, why are we using? I was like, do we have multiple types of witchcraft weapons that I'm not sure about? And Amber's like, no, it's just wands.
I mean, you could have like potions and stuff like
I
that.
guess so. I guess so. And wands. Witchcraft weapons and wands. We'll put it that way. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for lying to my husband that my sister is cooking the food that he pays $750 a week for when it's me who cooks? Sorry, I had to rewrite because I did the math and the conversion is about $750 and not $600. So my sister is a personal chef for some upper middle class families, mostly lawyers and doctors who work 24/7 but still want home cooked healthy meals. My husband has always complained about my disgusting food and calls me worthless in the kitchen. Every time that we are invited to my sister's or my mom's house, he would bite my head off about how they're better. I know for a fact that I'm as good, if not better, because I was taught from the same chef, Mom, who is a literal cooking genius. I had it up to here, and I said, fine, we can pay my sister for dinners. So, for a year now, he's been paying me $750 to pay my sister. When he comes home, he starts raving about how the whole apartment smells amazing from the food that's been delivered, and how now he only looks forward to coming home for dinner. The thing is that it really smells amazing, yes, but it's because the food is made in my kitchen by me. The only thing that has changed is that I put my sister's name on it and bag the money. Haha, I'm not even sorry about it. He is happy, I'm richer, and my sister finds the whole thing amusing. Everyone wins. She offered for me to work for her too. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think Opie's in the wrong for this, but I do have some serious questions about this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I read in the comments too, it sounds like the husband in general is very belittling toward OP,
Yeah.
criticizing like her weight and appearance and stuff like that as well. And so I would like potentially like think about whether this is really the right relationship for OP to stay in.
Well, and I think one of the comments, maybe we'll get to these comments, but one of the comments says that OP finds that it's difficult to get divorced wherever OP's at, right?
Right. And so like it's easy to say, "Oh, well, you should end the relationship." But yeah, it's easier said than done. There are
Mm-hmm.
complicating factors and it may not be possible.
Yeah, I want to know how this works on Saturdays and Sundays. Does OP do the cooking on the weekends? I don't really know. So, I mean, maybe the sister does it and then brings the food over. I really have no idea. I'm just curious about how that even works.
Or maybe the husband's just gone doing it. Doesn't sound like he's a very present husband, so he could just be out with friends or golfing or whatever.
Mm. Well, and I also would caution OP about the situation is because this kind of deception will eventually catch up with them, right? I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time before the husband walks into the kitchen while OP's cooking the food. And I mean, I guess OP could always just be like, oh, well, sister wasn't feeling up to it or something like that. But I mean, I think it could come to light eventually. And then OP needs to think about what happens if he finds out that OP's been pocketing this money for the last however long whenever it's caught.
I mean, hopefully at that point in time, it would give OP enough money to take the kids and go somewhere else.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Steamy Hot Potato says, not the jerk, why would you stay? The intent behind is clear, attack your skills and make you question your abilities as a wife tending to her husband. Now, if you're saving money to bail on the relationship, Godspeed. But if this is just going to remain some kind of inside joke for the unforeseeable future, where your husband is allowed to demean you at the expense of your sister, I don't know if this is a flex or not. And OP replies, my cooking skills, my looks, and my parenting skills. And Nice Rat 123 says, are you reserved just to stay with this man? I mean, you can take your looks, cooking skills, and parenting skills when you leave and find someone that actually loves, cherishes, and respects you as a wife, mother, and human being. And OP replies, well, it's not really easy to get a divorce or be divorced here. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for expecting my wife to make me lunches again? My wife claims everyone here would support her, and I'm the jerk. Everyone in our lives thinks that my wife is being pretty harsh on me and should be thinking of my health more than being right. My wife and I have been together for 12 years and have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. Since we started dating, my wife has made me lunch containers to take to work, some variation on rice, veggies, and protein. When I was younger, I didn't fully appreciate the food and found that the food at the local takeout spot or restaurant that my coworkers liked was tastier at that point in time. At that time, I didn't understand that it was because they injected it with extra fat and salt. So I began arguing with my wife that I make my own money and I should be able to buy my own lunches. I also wanted to socialize as I'm in a field where networking really matters. She argued that it was too expensive and that we should save money, which led to more arguing, until we agreed for the money that I ate out with that she could take the same amount of money for hair, nails, and whatever she would like. That worked up until last year when I had a huge health scare in the form of symptoms of a heart attack, but no heart attack, fortunately. My doctor said that my arteries were narrowed and I needed meds to help with them. I did blood work and I had high cholesterol and I am having high blood pressure as well. The doctors told me that eating out had made me consume too much fat and salt and I needed to eat healthier. I was pretty shocked, especially since during the pandemic, I worked and ate at home like everyone else, and only last year did I get back to eating out and away from home. I asked my wife to start packing me lunches again, and to my surprise, she refused. She makes packed lunches for her and the kids, but says that she isn't going to go back to making meals since I didn't want it. I apologized for saying that I wanted to eat out those years ago and said that she was right and that her meals are healthier, but she says that I just can't demand things go back to the way they were when I pushed for the change, and that if I want healthy lunches, I need to make it myself. I work 50 to 60 hours a week, and she works 32, so I think her just making another portion is just her being petty because of our disagreement years ago. I don't have time between an hour commute each way and dropping off the kids, but am I the jerk for expecting her to make me lunches when years ago I said I would rather eat out? All right, folks, what do you think of this situation?
Yeah, I think OP's in the wrong here. He made it very clear to her that he did not appreciate her food, that he wanted the restaurant food better, and now all of a sudden he's like demanding that she start making him food again.
I think that OP was in the wrong for wanting to eat out. I think that he showed a lot of disrespect to his wife, and I think that she took it very personally, and I can't blame her for doing that, right? But I think also, at a certain point, relationships have a place for forgiveness, and maybe they can start talking and working through things and going to couples counseling and working towards a place of reconciliation. I'm not saying that she needs to start making him a lunch or anything immediately, but he is in a bit of a quandary, it seems, in the respect that he works a lot and he doesn't have a whole lot of time to pack himself a lunch.
Yeah, but he could meal prep on the weekends or something. You know, it doesn't take a ton of effort to make a sandwich if he chooses, like, you know, healthier cuts of meat and stuff like that, you know. That's like a 5-minute ordeal every day.
So, I mean, certainly, like, I think meal prepping or asking his wife for a little bit of help, I don't think is that big of a deal. I think that in relationships, sometimes you're going to have disagreements, right? And, you know, he's come out and he said that he's wrong, he's apologized, and while that doesn't mend everything and make everything right, maybe they both can work towards making things better between the both of them.
Maybe, but on the other hand, like, I just don't think, like, if he has essentially insulted her cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering, you know, if he does this other times too, like, is it just with the lunches, or has he been insulting to her cooking at other times? But even
Yeah.
if it's just with the lunches, he's already told her, your food isn't good enough for me.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would take this, you know, is my health is on the line now.
Yeah.
So when you feel that unappreciated, I can understand why she wouldn't want to make food for him.
Yeah, I mean, if it's kind of viewed that way from her perspective here, where she feels like the only reason why he's taking these lunches is because they're healthier, I can see why she would feel slighted and hurt about this, because it was only because of his, you know, emergency and whatnot that he's now looking to change his diet, and he, you know, I understand where he's coming from here, but I think also she's agreed to this whole, for as much money he's taking out for buying lunches, is she going to be willing to drop the, money for the nails and everything else? I don't know if that's something that she should have to do, or, I mean, I'm just kind of asking, what do you think about the whole nails and everything else if he isn't eating out?
I mean, well, I think his plan is not to eat out no matter what.
Hmm.
So, I mean, but if she's making him the food, like, I don't think, like, she should be. I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if she's making him the food, then she for sure still continues to deserve to get her nails and everything else, right? But if she's not making him food and he's not eating out, I don't know, does that make a fair arrangement? I mean, I don't necessarily know if there's a right answer to that.
I mean, it seems very strange that him having this sudden health issue would, like, unless it becomes a substantial financial burden,
Hmm.
would change her ability to get things.
Yeah.
I understand how it started out, but it would seem very cruel and punitive to be like, well, I can't eat out anymore, so I guess you can't get your nails done.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. It does come across as punitive in that respect. But the original agreement though was kind of like, well, if as long as I'm eating out, you can get your nails and everything else done. But if he's not eating out, then that agreement kind of disappears. I'm not saying that he should do that. I'm just kind of curious about like where does that begin, where does that end? Is this like a benefit that she continues to have?
Well, and I mean, I wonder, it sounds like she does a lot for, plenty for the household, I'm
Hmm.
assuming, because she works 32 hours. I'm assuming she's the primary caretaker for the kid.
Yeah.
She's doing a lot of the stuff at home because he's working his, 50 to 60 hours, so he can't do anything, it sounds like.
Yeah.
He can't make a sandwich. It's too much time for that. So, it's not always one of those things where it shouldn't be a tit for tat type of
No,
situation.
no, I agree on that. I was just kind of presenting a question. I didn't necessarily like think that he should act on it. I was just curious like what you thought of that. Amber's like, stop putting me on the spot, Brian.
I feel really attacked.
Uh, it's not a matter of attacking. I'm just sincerely curious about what you had to say about that. I don't think there's a right answer to that. I mean, I think that it would be punitive. I think that there could be, like, it could be misconstrued certainly as punitive, and it's an agreement that they've had for a long time. It doesn't change the fact that he originally agreed to this. Um, I think he might also be able to find other restaurants that make healthier food and potentially spend the money there because there are places that you can buy food from that are more healthy, right?
Hmm.
Or he can maybe hire someone to help pay make him good meals. I hear like the lady from story one, she does it for $750 a week, so maybe he'll get a steal that way, right? But I don't know. Let me know what you folks think though. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Alyssa Hargrave says, you're the jerk. She tried to tell you that this is expensive and unhealthy. You chose to ignore her and be a jerk to her. That's on you. And it doesn't matter if she works less than you, she's raising the kids 24/7 and keeping them alive. She doesn't get breaks and she doesn't get to go out and get takeout alone. She has the kids. Who calls out of work when the kids are sick? Who does the school call if the kids are sick or in trouble? How likely is it for you to drop everything and go get the kids? Also, you have an able body to do things. You aren't disabled or have limited physical movement. Meal prep once a week isn't that hard. You can take a day where your time is off and meal prep lunches for the week. She's not needing to do it for you. You burned that bridge a long time ago.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that comment makes a lot of good points. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling her to stop spending $45 on burgers weekly? I'm a 42-year-old male, and my sister-in-law, 33, recently started selling burgers on Saturdays. She works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, office job with a good salary, but she recently discovered that she's pregnant with her ex's baby. He's no longer in the picture, so she's selling burgers for some extra income. Now, every Saturday, my wife, a 40-year-old, buys burgers for our family, 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8. My issue is that my sister-in-law sells every burger for $9, so 5 burgers is $45. The burgers are tasty, don't get me wrong, but she is using my mother-in-law's recipe that my wife also knows. So I don't see why we should spend $45 weekly on burgers when my wife can make identical ones at home and we would spend less money on ingredients. To be clear, technically we can afford sister-in-law's burgers comfortably. I just don't see why we should when there are cheaper options. I tried to talk about it with my wife, and she said that she mostly buys them because she wants to support her sister. I told her it's not her job to support her sister. And besides, as I said, the burgers are tasty, and every weekend they are sold out in a couple of hours. So I don't think that 5 burgers would put a dent in her business. Yesterday, I told my wife again that we shouldn't buy the burgers, and she asked me why I cared if she was buying them from her money. Not our money. We each have our own account and one joint account. I told her it's not about that. I just don't think it's sensible to spend $45 every weekend on burgers when she already knows the recipe. She said that she will be spending $36 then, because now she won't be buying mine anymore if it bothers me that much. That's exactly what she did. She brought the burgers for our kids and didn't buy me one, which is okay. Anyways, I got a Big Mac for cheaper. So I thought that we were okay, but she has been acting as if she is mad at me since yesterday. I fail to see why she is mad. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, you're being a jerk. She is using her money to help her sister. Like, this is not about, wanting expensive burgers for the sake of expensive burgers. Yeah. It's not very different from handing her sister money, but the big difference is that the sister gets to provide a quality product for her so she doesn't feel like she's receiving a handout.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone's comfortable taking money from family, and so it may feel better to buy the burgers than to be like, give her an extra, $40 every week.
Yeah. I can understand why he would be concerned about the finances if they were struggling financially and they couldn't afford this. I could also understand it if this was money being taken out of the joint account and was earmarked for other things. Where I think that he's being unreasonable is that this is from her own private funds, her own decision, and she was buying him a burger on top of that.
Right. Well, and he seems to value money over people to an absurd degree. Like, this is, again, her own personal money she's using, which presumably she can spend on things she wants. And I don't like how OP is policing her fun money. Like, partners are not always going to see eye to eye on what is of value. There are things that I value that Brian does not, have placed the same value on, but he's not going to tell me, oh, you can't buy your Halloween stuff, Amber. Wouldn't it be better if you just didn't because it's a waste of money?
Oh, speaking of which, I'm just kidding. I think that, again, and then like, to play off your point, it really is about the money, because then he goes and buys a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Like, why? What's the point, right? At that point in time,
just to show that it's cheaper. Like, look, I can get burgers for cheaper.
Yeah, like, it's not about being cheaper. It's about supporting the sister and helping her business grow. And it's guaranteed that at least every weekend she'll sell at least 5 burgers. Well, now 4, right? So I think that OP is really making a mountain out of a molehill here, because this isn't hurting him. This isn't hurting their finances. They can afford to do it. It's her fun money. I think he's just raising a big sink over nothing.
Right.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Hudson Blink says, you're the jerk. I was going to say not the jerk until I got to the part where you say that you guys have separate accounts and a joint account, and she buys the burgers from her own money. We aren't buying the burgers. She is, from her separate money. Does she micromanage you and how you spend your money? What if instead she just gave her sister $45 a week from her own money in exchange for no burgers? What business is that of yours? All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has an oh-so-funny joke.
What did the heavy equipment operator do on his vacation?
Well, the heavy equipment operator wasn't working with heavy equipment, I would assume, because he was on vacation. And, I'm guessing that he went down by the lake and he probably just enjoyed camping out for the weekend.
He just dozed off.
I was pretty close on that. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday, folks. I hope your Sunday is off to a special start. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too.
And Brian too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please, have it on food.
Sometimes it's better to pay more for the burgers if you can help someone in need.
I think that works. Mine is, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.